The first rule of Ravencrest Academy was simple. Never let an alpha know what you really are. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment if you want part 2. Your support helps this story continue, and trust me, this one is only getting darker from here. Part 1. I had survived 3 months at Ravencrest by pretending to be ordinary. Not brilliant. Not weak. Not noticeable. Just ordinary. At a school built for elite alphas, powerful betas, and the heirs of families who could destroy someone with one phone call. Being invisible was not cowardice. It was survival. My name was Elias Vale, and I was supposed to be a beta. That was what my forged documents said. That was what the Academy records believed. That was what I repeated every morning in the mirror, while pressing scent blockers against my wrist, until the skin turned red. Beta. Safe. Unwanted. Alive. Because if anyone found out I was an Omega, everything would change. Ravencrest had rules for Omegas. Beautiful rules, written in gold ink and spoken with gentle smiles. Protection. Supervision. Assigned housing. Approved social circles. Mandatory alpha compatibility testing. In truth, those rules were chains. And I had not run away from my family's arranged bond contract just to be locked inside another cage. So I kept my head down. Until Kael Draven noticed me. Everyone knew Kael. The most dangerous alpha in the academy. The heir of the Draven family. Captain of the disciplinary committee. The boy who once sent 3 seniors to the hospital without raising his voice. Students moved out of his way before he even stepped into a corridor, as if their bodies sensed danger before their minds could name it. He was beautiful and the cruel way storms were beautiful. Black hair. Sharp eyes. A uniform always perfect. A silver ring on his thumb that tapped once against his desk, whenever he was angry. And he was always angry. I first met him properly during combat assessment. Professor Halden had divided us into pairs under the glass dome of the training hall. Rain slid down the ceiling above us, turning the afternoon light gray and cold. "Vale," the professor called. "You're with Draven." The entire room went silent. My stomach dropped. Kael turned his head slowly. For 1 second, his pale eyes moved over me with no expression at all. Then he smiled. Not kindly. "Come here, Beta," he said. I walked onto the mat, feeling every stare burn into my back. The match was supposed to be simple. Defensive form. 3 minutes. No scent aggression. No serious injury. Kael broke the first rule in 10 seconds. He moved so fast I barely saw him. One moment he was across from me, the next his hand was at my collar, twisting the fabric as he forced me back. I hit the mat hard. Pain flashed through my shoulder. "Slow," he said. I gritted my teeth and pushed up. "You're not exactly gentle." His eyes narrowed, as if my answer amused him. Again. He came at me like a shadow. I dodged the first strike, blocked the second, and slipped under his arm before he could grab me again. For one brief moment, surprise flickered across his face. Then his hand caught my wrist. My pulse jumped. His fingers tightened. And I realized too late that the scent blocker patch under my sleeve had torn during the fall. Kael froze. The whole world seemed to freeze with him. His gaze dropped to my wrist. Then, slowly, he leaned closer. "No." My breath stopped. "No, no, no." His expression changed. The boredom vanished. The cruelty vanished. Something darker replaced it. Recognition. Possession. Hunger, but not the kind that belonged in a body. The kind that lived in bloodlines, instincts, and ancient laws people pretended no longer controlled them. Kael's grip tightened just enough to make escape impossible. "You're not a beta," he whispered. My heart slammed against my ribs. I yanked my wrist, but he didn't let go. "Let me go," I said, trying to sound angry instead of terrified. His eyes lifted to mine. For the first time since I had arrived at Ravencrest, Kael Draven looked truly awake. "Who knows?" he asked. "No one." "Good." The answer chilled me. Professor Halden stepped closer. "Draven. Release him." Kael didn't even look away from me. I said, the professor repeated, sharper this time. Release him. Kael opened his fingers. I stumbled back immediately, pulling my sleeve down, but it was too late. He knew. The most dangerous alpha in Ravencrest knew. And the worst part was not that he had discovered my secret. The worst part was the way he looked at me afterward. Not like prey. Not like property. Like something he had been searching for without knowing it. That night, I packed a bag. I moved quietly, shoving clothes, documents and emergency cash into the old leather satchel beneath my bed. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped my fake ID twice. I had one chance. There was a service gate behind the eastern dormitory. No cameras for 6 minutes during system reset. I had studied the patrol pattern for weeks, just in case. I never thought I would need it this soon. The hallway outside was empty when I slipped out. Rain hammered against the windows. Thunder rolled above the academy towers. Every shadow looked like a person waiting to drag me back. I made it to the eastern stairwell. Then the lights went out. My breath caught. A voice spoke from the darkness below. Running already? I turned. Kael Draven stood at the bottom of the stairs, one hand in his pocket, his silver ring glinting in the emergency red light. My blood went cold. How did you know? I whispered. He climbed one step. Then another. You smell like fear, he said quietly. And lies. I backed away until my shoulders hit the wall. Kael stopped in front of me, close enough that I could see the rain on his coat, close enough that my ruined blocker was useless. I won't tell them, he said. I didn't believe him. What do you want? For the first time, his expression cracked. Something almost human passed over his face. Then he reached into his coat and held out my torn scent blocker patch. You dropped this in the training hall. I stared at it. He leaned closer and lowered his voice. You can hate me if you want, Elias. But listen carefully. My name in his mouth sounded like a warning. If the Academy finds out what you are, they'll lock you in the Omega Wing before sunrise. Thunder shook the windows. Kael's eyes darkened. And if my family finds out, he paused. They'll claim you before anyone can save you. My throat tightened. Then move. He didn't. Instead, he looked down the dark stairwell behind him. Too late, I heard footsteps. Not one person. Many. Kael's hand closed around my wrist again, firm but not painful. This time, he pulled me behind him. Stay silent, he ordered. Voices echoed from below. Search this floor. The Omega is here. My heart stopped. Kael smiled into the dark. But it wasn't the smile he had given me on the training mat. This one was colder. Deadlier. Protective. And as the first shadow appeared on the stairs, Kael Draven whispered the words that changed my life forever. If anyone touches him, they answer to me. End of Part 1. Part 2. The shadows on the stairwell moved closer. I couldn't see their faces clearly at first, only the sharp lines of academy uniforms, black coats soaked from the rain, and the silver pins on their collars that marked them as members of Ravencrest's private security division. Not students. Adults. Hired by the board. Or worse, by families powerful enough to move through the academy without asking permission. Kael's hand stayed around my wrist, keeping me behind him. I should have pulled away. I should have hated the way he stood between me and the men climbing toward us. But I couldn't move. Because for the first time since I arrived at Ravencrest, someone else was the wall between me and danger. The first guard stopped 2 steps below Kael. Draven, he said carefully. Step aside. Kael tilted his head. No. The guard's eyes flicked toward me. I immediately lowered my face, letting my hair fall over my eyes. Too late. They knew. My scent blockers were damaged. My pulse was too fast. My fear was making everything worse. There is an unregistered Omega on campus, the guard said. The board has ordered an immediate transfer. Kael laughed once. It was not a warm sound. The board gave that order? Yes. Show me. The guard hesitated. That hesitation changed everything. Kael noticed it too. His thumb brushed once over the inside of my wrist, not gentle enough to be comforting, not rough enough to be cruel. A silent warning. Stay still. Interesting, Kael said. You came here during a blackout. Without written authorization. Without faculty present. Without medical staff. And you expect me to believe the board sent you? The guard's jaw tightened. This does not concern you. Kael stepped down one stair. The air changed instantly. Even I felt it, and I was behind him. The pressure of an alpha's dominance rolled through the stairwell like a storm breaking open. The guards stiffened. One of them actually took a step back. Kael did not raise his voice. That is where you are wrong. My chest tightened. The guard's eyes narrowed. Your father gave approval. Kael went completely still. For one terrible second, the rain against the windows sounded louder than breathing. His father. I remembered what Kael had said. If my family finds out, they'll claim you before anyone can save you. So it wasn't the academy. It was the Dravens. They already knew. The realization hit me so hard my knees almost weakened. Kael's fingers tightened around my wrist again, as if he felt the change in my body. My father, he said slowly, does not own this campus. No, the guard replied. But he owns enough of it. Then the lights flickered back on. The stairwell flooded with cold white brightness. And the guards saw me clearly. The tallest one inhaled. His expression shifted. Not surprise. Confirmation. There, he said. That's him. Kael moved before the guard finished speaking. I had seen him fight in training, but that had been controlled. This was different. This was violence without wasted motion. He shoved the first guard back with enough force to send him crashing into the others. The second reached for a restraint band, but Kael caught his arm and twisted it until the device clattered down the stairs. Run, Kael snapped. I didn't need to be told twice. I turned and sprinted up the stairs. My bag slammed against my hip. My lungs burned. Behind me, I heard a crash, a shout, and Kael's voice cutting through the chaos. Don't touch him. I reached the fourth floor, shoved open the door, and stumbled into the corridor. Empty. Too empty. The dormitory hallway stretched in front of me like a trap. I ran toward the emergency exit at the far end. 10 steps. 20. Then someone stepped out from the side corridor. A woman in a pale gray coat. Not a student. Not security. Her hair was pulled back neatly, her smile calm, her eyes cold. Elias Vale, she said. Or, should I use your real family name? I froze. My real family name. Nobody at Ravencrest knew it. Nobody was supposed to know it. The woman lifted a small black folder. You are very difficult to keep hidden. My hand tightened around the strap of my bag. Who are you? Someone who understands your value. My stomach turned. Value. That was the word people used when they stopped seeing you as human. She took one step closer. You have no idea what kind of bloodline you carry, do you? I backed away. I'm leaving. No, she said softly. You're being collected. The exit door behind her opened. 2 more guards entered. I turned to run the other way. But the stairwell door slammed open behind me, and Kael appeared, breathing hard, his knuckles bruised, his uniform collar torn. His eyes found me first. Then the woman. Everything in his face changed. You, he said. The woman smiled. Young Master Draven. Young Master. So she worked for his family. Kael walked toward us slowly. I told my father to stay away from him. Yes, she said. He found that very emotional. Kael's gaze sharpened. The woman opened the folder and showed a document. Even from where I stood, I saw the official seal. Ravencrest Academy. The Draven family crest. And beneath it my name. My false name. Elias Vale. Temporary protective custody, she said. Signed and approved. That paper is illegal, Kael replied. Only if anyone challenges it. Her eyes slid to me. And who will? A runaway Omega with forged records. My face went cold. Kael looked at me. There it was. The question he had not asked. Runaway. Forged records. He knew I was hiding, but he had not known how deep the lie went. I waited for disgust. For anger. For him to realize I had brought danger into his life, and decide I wasn't worth the trouble. Instead, Kael stepped in front of me again. He is under my protection. The woman's smile widened. That is exactly what your father hoped you would say. Kael's expression darkened. I didn't understand. Then the woman spoke again. Public protection from the Draven heir can easily become a bond claim. My heart stopped. Kael went silent. A bond claim. The old law. Rarely used now, but still recognized among elite alpha families. If an alpha publicly declared protection over an unclaimed omega during a threat, the family could twist it into a formal claim. A cage disguised as rescue. I stared at Kael's back. Did you know? I whispered. He didn't turn. The silence hurt more than an answer. Kael, I said, voice breaking. Did you know? His hand curled into a fist. I knew my father wanted something, he said. I didn't know it was this. The woman closed the folder. Step away from him, young master. Or complete what you started. The guards moved closer. I felt trapped between them all. The woman wanted to take me. Kael wanted to protect me. His father wanted to own me. And I wanted, more than anything, to disappear back into the ordinary life I had fought so hard to fake. Then Kael turned around. His eyes met mine. I can get you out, he said quietly. How? I asked. His jaw tightened. You'll have to trust me. I almost laughed. Trust him? The alpha who discovered my secret, blocked my escape, fought his own guards, and now stood at the center of a trap that could turn my life into his family's property? But behind him, the woman lifted her hand. The guards advanced. Kael held my gaze. Elias, he said, and this time my name sounded less like a warning and more like a promise. Choose now. I looked at the exit. Blocked. The stairwell. Blocked. The corridor. Blocked. Then I looked at him. Dangerous. Unreadable. Terrifying. But he had fought for me before he knew my truth. And maybe that meant something. Maybe it meant nothing. I grabbed his hand. Kael's eyes widened for half a second. Then he pulled me close and turned toward the window at the end of the corridor. My breath vanished. We're on the 4th floor, I said. I know. Kael. He wrapped one arm around my waist, kicked the window open, and held me tight as cold rain exploded into the hall. Behind us the woman shouted. Stop him! Kael looked at me once. Don't let go. Then we jumped. End of part 2. Part 3. For one breathless second, there was nothing beneath us. Only rain. Only wind. Only Kael's arm locked around my waist like iron as the broken window disappeared above us. I couldn't even scream. The academy tower blurred past in gray stone and flashing lightning. My stomach rose into my throat. Cold air tore through my clothes, and my fingers clutched Kael's uniform so tightly my nails dug into the fabric. Then something snapped open beneath us. A black emergency glider. It unfolded from Kael's belt with a sharp metallic crack, catching the wind just before we hit the lower roof. The impact still slammed through my body, but instead of dying, we crashed hard onto the rain-slicked tiles and rolled. Kael twisted at the last second, taking most of the fall. His back hit the roof first. I landed against his chest. For a moment, neither of us moved. Rain fell between our faces. His breathing was rough. Mine was almost non-existent. Then Kael opened his eyes. You alive? He asked. I shoved away from him, heart pounding. Are you insane? Usually. You jumped out of a 4th-floor window. With a glider. You didn't tell me that part. You were panicking. I had a reason. A shout echoed from above. We both looked up. The broken window glowed with hallway light. Shadows moved behind it. Kael grabbed my hand and pulled me to my feet. Argue later. We ran across the roof. My shoes slipped twice. Kael caught me both times without looking back, as if he could sense the exact moment I was about to fall. That should have comforted me. It didn't. Every time his hand closed around mine, I remembered the woman's words. A public protection from the Draven heir can easily become a bond claim. Was this rescue? Or was it only a prettier cage? Kael led me down a maintenance ladder, through a locked greenhouse, and into a narrow tunnel beneath the east gardens. The tunnel smelled like damp stone and old metal. Pipes ran along the ceiling. Emergency lights flickered weakly on the walls. Only when the academy was far above us did he stop. I yanked my hand away. Explain. Kael turned, rain dripping from his hair. His uniform was torn at the shoulder, and there was a dark bruise forming near his jaw. You need to keep moving. No. I need answers. His eyes sharpened. My father's people are searching the campus. And why? I demanded. Why does your family care about me? Kael looked away. That small movement told me enough. You know something. I know pieces. Then give me the pieces. His jaw tightened. For a moment, I thought he would refuse. Then he leaned against the tunnel wall and let out a quiet breath. The Draven family has been looking for an Omega bloodline for years. My stomach turned cold. What bloodline? The Veil bloodline. I froze. Veil was supposed to be fake. A name chosen because it meant nothing. Kael watched my face carefully. You didn't choose that name by accident, did you? I said nothing. He continued, voice lower. 20 years ago, the Veil family disappeared from elite society after refusing a forced alliance with 3 alpha houses. Officially, they lost their fortune and left the country. Unofficially, they hid their Omega heirs. I felt the tunnel tilt. My mother's warnings came back to me. Never use your sen in public. Never bleed where they can test it. Never trust an alpha who says protection. I had thought she was afraid because of our family's debt. I had never known it was something older. My mother never told me, I whispered. She probably wanted you alive. I looked up sharply. Do not talk about her. Kael's expression softened for half a second, then vanished. I'm not your enemy, Elias. I laughed once, bitterly. You keep saying that while dragging me deeper into your family's mess. I'm trying to keep you out of it. You blocked my escape. If you had gone through that gate, they would have taken you. You don't know that. I do. His voice cut through mine. Because I watched my father set the trap. Silence fell. The tunnel hummed around us. I stared at him. You knew? Kael's hands curled at his sides. I knew he suspected someone on campus. I didn't know it was you until the training hall. And then you said nothing. If I said something, you would run. I did run. And you almost ran straight into them. I hated that he was right. I hated him more for looking wounded by it. Before either of us could speak again, the emergency lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then turned red. Kael's head snapped toward the far end of the tunnel. A mechanical voice echoed through the speakers. Unauthorized movement detected in East Maintenance Sector. My blood went cold. Kael grabbed my bag from the floor and shoved it into my hands. We're out of time. A heavy door slammed somewhere behind us. Then footsteps. Many footsteps. Kael reached into his jacket and pulled out a thin black card. What is that? I asked. My last option. He pressed it against a hidden panel in the wall. For 3 terrifying seconds, nothing happened. Then the stone shifted open. Behind it was a small room filled with old monitors, dust-covered furniture, and a single elevator door. Where does that go? I asked. Off campus. I stepped back. You expect me to trust a secret Draven escape route? No, Kael met my eyes. I expect you to want freedom more than you hate me. That stopped me. Because he was right again. The footsteps grew louder. Voices shouted from the tunnel entrance. Kael pushed the elevator button. The doors opened with a groan. I stepped inside first, keeping distance between us. Kael followed, but before the doors closed, a guard appeared at the end of the tunnel. He raised a device. A sharp sound split the air. Kael flinched. A silver dart struck his shoulder. His eyes widened, then darkened with pain. Kael! He staggered forward as the elevator doors closed. I caught him before he fell. His body was heavy against mine, burning with alpha heat even through the wet fabric. On the tiny screen above the door, the elevator began to descend. Kael's breathing grew uneven. I looked at the dart in his shoulder. There was a red symbol on it. The Draven crest. My hands trembled. "They shot you," I whispered. Kael forced his eyes open. "No," he said, voice rough. "They marked me." The elevator lights flickered. His hand found mine. "Elias, listen to me." "What?" His grip weakened. "If I lose control before we reach the bottom." My heart pounded. "What do you mean, lose control?" Kael's eyes flashed gold for one frightening second. Then he whispered, "Run from me too." End of Part 3. Part 4. The elevator kept falling. Not quickly enough. Kael's weight pressed against me. One hand braced against the wall, the other still locked around my wrist, as if even half-conscious he was afraid I would disappear. "Run from me too." His words echoed louder than the metal cables above us. I stared at him, unable to breathe. The golden flash in his eyes had vanished, but his pupils were still too sharp, too focused, too alpha. His breathing came in uneven bursts, each one heavier than the last. The dart in his shoulder pulsed with a faint red light. A mark. Not a weapon. Not poison. Something worse. "What did they do to you?" I whispered. Kael gritted his teeth. "Command trigger." I had heard of them only in rumors. Illegal devices used by old alpha families to force an heir's instincts into overdrive. Not mind control exactly. More like dragging every buried impulse to the surface and locking the door behind it. Protection. Possession. Dominance. All twisted until the alpha could barely tell the difference. My stomach turned. They used it on their own son? Kael gave a bitter smile. "You still think families like mine see sons as people?" The elevator jolted. I grabbed his arm to steady him. Big mistake. The second my fingers touched his skin, Kael went completely still. His head lowered. His breath brushed my neck. I froze. "Kael," I said carefully. His hand hit the wall beside my head. The sound cracked through the elevator. I couldn't move. He was close. Too close. His body trembled with the effort of holding himself back, and yet his eyes were locked on me, like I was the only thing in the world he could still see. "Don't touch me," he said, voice rough. I swallowed. I was trying to help. "I know." "Then why?" "Because right now," he said through his teeth, "my body thinks helping means keeping you where no one else can reach you." The honesty frightened me more than any lie could have. I slowly lowered my hands. "Then fight it." His jaw tightened. "I am." The elevator stopped. The doors opened to a dark underground station. Cold air rushed in. Kael stumbled out first, putting distance between us immediately. I followed with my bag clutched to my chest. The station looked abandoned. Old tracks disappeared into a black tunnel. Dust covered the benches. A broken sign on the wall read, "East Service Line, decommissioned." "Where are we?" I asked. "Under the city." Kael forced himself forward. "There's a safe house near the old district. We can hide there until morning." "We?" He stopped. I regretted the word as soon as it left my mouth. But I needed to say it. "I heard you," I continued. "You told me to run from you too." Kael didn't turn around. "You should." "Then why bring me here?" "Because they are worse." That answer was not enough. Maybe nothing would have been enough. "Your family wants to claim me," I said. "The academy wants to lock me away. My own family lied to me. And you." My voice cracked. Kael finally looked back. "And me?" he asked quietly. I hated the pain in his eyes. Because it made him harder to hate. "You scare me," I admitted. The words hung between us. Rainwater dripped from his hair onto the concrete floor. The red light from the dart still pulsed beneath his torn uniform. His face was pale from pain, but he didn't look away. "Good," he said. I blinked. "What?" "You should be scared. Not because I want to hurt you." His voice dropped. "Because everyone around you will use softer words than I do while putting chains on your wrists." I looked down at my hands. No chains. Not yet. Kael reached for the dart in his shoulder, and pulled it out with a sharp breath. He threw it to the floor and crushed it beneath his shoe. The red light died. "Will that stop it?" I asked. "No." "Then what will?" "Time. Distance." His mouth twisted. "And you not standing too close." I took one step back. He noticed. Something flickered across his face, but he nodded once as if I had done the right thing. Then the speakers in the station crackled. A woman's voice filled the dark. "Kael Draven. You have disappointed your father." The woman from the academy corridor. Kael looked up at the ceiling cameras. "I was hoping to make a habit of it." "You cannot run far. Every exit from the East Line has already been sealed." My blood turned cold. Kael's hand moved toward his pocket, but the woman laughed softly through the speaker. "Your access codes are cancelled. Your accounts are frozen. Your driver is detained. Your room is being searched." Kael's expression didn't change, but I saw the slight tension in his shoulders. They were cutting him off, piece by piece. "You have one path left," the woman continued. "Bring the Omega to your father voluntarily, and this can still become a private family matter." I stepped back again. Kael's eyes flashed toward me, then away. "And if I don't?" he asked. "Then we release his identity." My heart stopped. The woman's voice turned almost gentle. "His real surname. His forged records. His mother's location. Everything." My mother. The station seemed to tilt. I reached for the wall. Kael took one instinctive step toward me, then forced himself to stop. "They know where she is?" I whispered. He didn't answer. Because he didn't know. And that terrified me more. The speaker crackled again. 10 minutes, young master. After that, the Veil name returns to the world." The line went dead. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then I turned toward the tracks. "I'm going back." Kael's head snapped toward me. "No. They have my mother. They said they know her location. That doesn't mean they have her." "You don't know that. And walking into my father's hands won't save her." His voice echoed through the station. I flinched. Kael immediately stepped back, breathing hard, fighting himself again. "Elias," he said, quieter. "If you go to him, he wins. If I don't, my mother pays. And if you do, he still might hurt her." I knew that. I knew it, and it still felt unbearable. My mother had spent her whole life hiding me. How could I save myself by abandoning her? I turned away before Kael could see my face. But he already had. "You love her," he said. "She is the only reason I'm alive." Something in his expression changed. Not jealousy. Not pity. Understanding. "My mother tried to leave too," he said. I looked at him. Kael's gaze lowered to the floor. "She took me when I was 8. We made it 3 cities away before my father found us." His voice became colder. "After that, she stopped trying." "What happened to her?" He was silent for too long. Then he said, "She lives in the west wing of the Draven estate. She has gardens, servants, doctors, everything a person needs." A chill ran through me. "But she isn't free." Kael smiled without humor. "No." For the first time, I understood him. Not completely. But enough. He had not grown up as the prince of a powerful family. He had grown up as proof that cages could be made of luxury too. A sound came from the tunnel. Metal scraping. Kael turned sharply. The tracks began to vibrate. A maintenance train appeared in the distance, its single headlight cutting through the dark. "That line is decommissioned," I said. It was. The train slowed as it reached the platform. Its doors opened. Inside stood a boy with silver hair, round glasses, and a Ravencrest medical badge hanging crookedly from his neck. He looked at Kael, then at me. "You two look terrible." Kael exhaled. "Milo." The boy smiled nervously. "Nice to know jumping out of windows is still your main communication style. You said you could help." "I said I could try." Milo's eyes shifted to me. His smile faded. "So he's the one?" I stiffened. Kael's voice sharpened. "Don't." Milo raised both hands. "I'm not judging." He stepped aside. "Get in. The Dravens don't control this train yet, but they will in about 4 minutes." I didn't move. Kael looked at me. "This is your choice," he said. "Not mine." I stared at the train. Then the tunnel behind us. Then at the cameras above, where Kael's family might still be watching. My mother was somewhere out there. My name was a weapon. Kael was dangerous. But staying meant being caught. So I stepped onto the train. Kael followed, keeping a careful distance. The doors began to close. Then Milo looked at Kael's shoulder and went pale. "Tell me that isn't a command trigger mark." Kael said nothing. Milo cursed under his breath and turned to me. "Do not stay close to him if his eyes turn gold again." The train lurched forward. I grabbed a pole to keep my balance. Kael stood across from me, one hand pressed against the wall, his face half hidden in shadow. For a few seconds I thought we had escaped. Then every screen inside the train turned on at once. A man appeared on them. Older. Elegant. Cold. Kael went completely still. I knew before he spoke. His father. "Elias Vale," the man said, looking directly through the screen at me. "My son has made a mess of your introduction." Kael's hands curled into fists. The man smiled. "So allow me to be clear." The train lights flickered. "If you want your mother to live freely, come to the Draven estate before sunrise." My body went numb. His eyes shifted to Kael. "And Kael, if you continue protecting him, I will activate the second trigger." Milo whispered, "Second?" Kael's face lost all color. The man smiled wider. "And this time, you will not be able to stop yourself." The screens went black. The train rushed into the dark. And Kael's eyes slowly turned gold. End of Part 4. Part 5. Kael's eyes turned gold. Not all at once. First it was a thin ring around the gray, bright as lightning trapped under glass. Then it spread inward, swallowing the color I had started to recognize, until the boy standing across from me looked both exactly like Kael Draven, and nothing like him at all. The train rocked through the tunnel. Milo moved first. He grabbed a metal case from beneath the seat, and snapped it open with shaking hands. Inside were syringes, blockers, restraint bands, and small silver devices I didn't understand. "Elias," he said carefully, "move behind me." Kael's gaze shifted to him. Milo froze. The air inside the train became heavy. Not hot. Not loud. Heavy. Like every breath had to fight its way into my lungs. Kael's hand pressed harder against the wall. His fingers bent slightly, leaving dents in the metal panel. "Don't," Kael said. His voice was low. Broken. Milo swallowed. "I'm trying to help you." "No," Kael's golden eyes flicked toward the case. "You're trying to sedate me." "You have a second trigger active." Kael smiled faintly. It looked painful. "Then you should be afraid." "I am," Milo admitted. That honesty seemed to reach him for half a second. Then the train lights flickered red. A sharp tone rang through the carriage. Milo looked at the screen above the door and cursed. "They're overriding the line." The train slowed. My stomach dropped. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." Kael took one step forward. Milo raised a syringe. "Kael, stop." Kael did. Not because of Milo. Because I stepped between them. Milo's eyes widened. "Elias, are you insane?" Probably. But I couldn't watch another person turn Kael into a weapon, and call it protection. Kael stared down at me. His breathing was rough. His shoulders trembled with restraint. Everything about him warned me to move away. I didn't. You told me to run from you, I said. His jaw tightened. You should have listened. I'm tired of running because powerful people decide what I'm allowed to be. His eyes sharpened. Elias. My mother ran. Your mother ran. We both ended up in cages anyway. My voice shook, but I forced the words out. So no. I'm not running from you unless you make me. Something cracked in his expression. The gold in his eyes flickered. For 1 second, I saw him. The real him. The boy beneath the Draven name. The boy who had jumped from a tower to keep me out of his father's hands. Then pain twisted his face. He gripped the pole beside me so hard the metal bent. Get back, he forced out. I stepped closer instead. Milo whispered, Elias. I ignored him. Kael, look at me. His eyes squeezed shut. If I look at you, it gets worse. Then listen. The train slowed further. Through the window, I saw lights ahead. A platform. Figures waiting. Draven guards. Milo grabbed the emergency control panel. We have maybe 1 minute. Kael opened his eyes again. Gold. Brighter than before. His hand lifted. Not toward my throat. Not toward my wrist. Toward my face. He stopped himself inches away, fingers shaking. I can hear him, Kael whispered. My blood ran cold. Your father. He nodded once. Not his voice. His order. He swallowed hard. Protect. Claim. Bring back. Milo's face went pale. That's not just a trigger, he said. That's imprint conditioning. Kael laughed under his breath, but there was no humor in it. My father always believed in preparing his heirs. The train brakes screamed. The platform rushed closer. I turned to Milo. Can you stop it? Not from inside. Can you open the doors before the platform? Milo hesitated. Kael looked at him sharply. Do it. If I do, we jump into a service tunnel at high speed. Kael's mouth curved slightly. We already jumped from a 4th floor. That was not a medical recommendation. The first guards on the platform noticed us. One raised a weapon. Kael moved instantly. He grabbed my bag, threw it across his shoulder, and pulled me close with one arm. This time, I felt the difference. Not possession. Protection. But protection still had teeth. Milo slammed the emergency release. The side door burst open. Wind exploded into the carriage. The tunnel wall blurred beside us. Now! Kael shouted. Milo jumped first. Kael wrapped both arms around me. Trust me one more time. I'm starting to hate that sentence. Good. Stay angry. Then he leapt. We hit the ground hard and rolled across rough concrete. Pain tore through my side. My shoulder struck something metal. Kael curled around me, taking the worst of the impact again. When we stopped, I was trapped beneath him, both of us breathing hard in the darkness. For a dangerous second, he didn't move. His face was close. Too close. His golden eyes locked on mine. I felt his body tremble. Then, slowly, he pushed himself away and turned his back to me. Don't come near me, he said. This time, I listened. Milo landed several feet away with a groan. I hate both of you. Guards shouted from the platform behind us. Flashlights cut through the tunnel. Kael staggered to his feet. Move. We ran again. Through service corridors. Past rusted doors. Down stairways that smelled of oil and dust. My body screamed with every step, but fear kept me moving. Finally, Milo shoved open a narrow door hidden behind a broken advertisement board, and we stumbled into the back room of a closed pharmacy. The city outside was still dark. Rain streaked across the windows. Neon signs reflected on the wet street. Milo locked the door and leaned against it, panting. Safe house is 2 blocks away, he said. But we have a problem. Only one? I asked weakly. Milo didn't smile. He looked at Kael. Kael stood near the far wall, one hand covering his eyes. His breathing had not settled. The second trigger is still active, Milo said. And it's getting stronger. I turned cold. What happens if it fully activates? Milo didn't answer. Kael did. I stopped choosing. The room went silent. My throat tightened. Then we remove it. Milo looked at me. It's not a device anymore. The dart woke up conditioning already placed in him. I can suppress it temporarily, but not erase it here. Then suppress it. Kael shook his head. No. I stared at him. No. If he suppresses me too much, I won't be able to fight. You can barely stand. And my father knows that. Kael lowered his hand. The gold had faded slightly, but it was still there. He wants us weak when we reach the estate. I froze. When we reach the estate? Kael looked at me as if the answer should have been obvious. Your mother. My chest tightened. Milo stepped forward. Kael, we cannot walk into the Draven estate. We're not walking in. Milo's eyes narrowed. I hate when you say things like that. Kael took the black card from his pocket and snapped it in half. Inside was a tiny silver chip. My father froze my official access. Not my mother's. Milo stared. You stole Lady Draven's private entrance key? She gave it to me. That made him stop. Kael's face hardened. Years ago. She told me if I ever found something worth saving, I should not hesitate. His eyes shifted to me. I looked away first. Not because I felt nothing. Because I felt too much. Milo moved to the pharmacy counter and began gathering supplies. We need fresh blockers, painkillers, a signal jammer, and clothes that don't scream Academy fugitives. I looked down at my soaked uniform. He had a point. While Milo searched, Kael stayed by the wall, deliberately keeping distance from me. That distance hurt. Which was ridiculous. I had wanted him away from me. Now that he was doing exactly that, my chest felt strangely empty. I walked to the front window and pushed aside the blind. Across the street, a large public screen flashed with breaking news. My face appeared on it. My blood stopped. Not a student photo. Not a security image. An old family portrait. Me as a child, standing beside my mother. The headline beneath it read, Missing Veil Heir discovered at Ravencrest Academy. Milo saw it and went silent. Kael crossed the room in 2 strides, then stopped before he got too close to me. His eyes lifted to the screen. The next image appeared. My mother. Older than in the photo. Tired. Surrounded by Draven security. A message scrolled beneath her face. Safe return guaranteed if Elias Veil surrenders before sunrise. The room blurred. My knees nearly gave out. Kael reached for me, then stopped himself again, fingers curling into his palm. I stared at my mother's face on the screen. She was alive. But not free. A sound escaped my throat. Not a sob. Something smaller. More broken. Kael's voice came from beside me, quiet and deadly. We're getting her back. I looked at him. His eyes were gold again. But this time, I was not sure the danger was for me. Milo came up behind us, holding a bottle of suppressants. Kael, he warned. Kael didn't look away from the screen. Prepare the blockers. For you? Kael's jaw tightened. For Elias. I frowned. Why? Kael finally turned to me. Because once we enter the estate, my father will not use guards first. What will he use? Kael's expression became colder than I had ever seen it. The alpha candidates waiting to claim the last Veil Omega. The screen changed again. This time, it showed the Draven estate. A black car waiting at the gate. And beside it, Kael's father smiling like he had already won. End of Part 5. Part 6. The Draven estate did not look like a house. It looked like a verdict. Black iron gates rose higher than the trees around them, each bar shaped like a spear. Beyond them, the mansion stood on a hill under the dying rain, its windows glowing gold against the night. It was beautiful in the way a blade was beautiful. Sharp. Expensive. Made to hurt. We watched it from the back of a delivery van parked 2 streets away. Milo sat in the driver's seat, typing furiously on a cracked tablet. The screen reflected in his glasses, turning his eyes pale blue. "Security rotation changes every 7 minutes," he said. "External cameras are controlled by the main system, but the garden entrance still runs on an older private circuit." Kael stood beside the van door, dressed in a black coat Milo had stolen from the pharmacy's lost and found room. It should have made him look less like the heir of a dangerous family. It didn't. Even bruised, exhausted, and fighting an illegal trigger inside his own body, Kael still looked like someone born to command a room before entering it. His eyes were gray again. Mostly. Every few minutes, gold flickered at the edges. Each time, he stepped farther away from me. I hated how much I noticed. Milo handed me a small packet of scent blockers. "Put these on your wrists, behind your ears and under your collar. They're strong, but not perfect." I took them. "Will they hide me from alphas?" "From normal alphas, yes." Kael's mouth tightened. "There will be nothing normal inside that house." My fingers paused. Milo glared at him. That was not comforting. It wasn't meant to be. I pressed the blockers onto my skin. The chemical chill made me shiver. On the small screen in the van, my mother's face was still frozen from the public broadcast. I tried not to look at it. Failed. She was alive. She was in there. And every second we waited felt like betrayal. Kael noticed. "We move now," he said. Milo twisted around. "You sure you can control yourself?" Kael gave him a flat look. "No. That is a terrible answer. It is an honest one." Milo sighed and handed him 2 black capsules. "Emergency suppressants. Use only if the second trigger spikes again. Too much and you collapse." Kael took them without looking. Then Milo turned to me and passed me a small silver device. "What is this?" I asked. "Signal jammer. If anyone tries to scan your bloodline marker, press that button." "My what?" Milo went still. Kael looked away. A cold feeling crawled up my spine. "What bloodline marker?" Milo's face twisted with regret. "I thought you knew." I stared at Kael. He closed his eyes for half a second. "The Veil Omegas were registered generations ago," he said. "Not publicly. Privately. Old families marked bloodlines through medical databases, inheritance records, scent profiles." My hand tightened around the device. "So I'm not a person to them." Kael's voice dropped. "You are. Not to them." He didn't deny it. That hurt worse. Milo cleared his throat carefully. "The jammer gives you 5 minutes. After that, it burns out." 5 minutes. That was how much freedom people like me were allowed. Kael opened the van door. Cold air rushed in. "Stay behind me once we're inside." I looked at him sharply. "No." His eyes narrowed. "Elias. I'm going in for my mother. Not hiding behind you like luggage." For a second, his expression hardened. Then, surprisingly, he nodded. "Fine. Stay where I can see you." That still sounds like an order. "It is." I glared at him. Milo groaned. "Can both of you flirt with danger after we survive?" My face heated. "We are not." Kael stepped out of the van before I could finish. The garden entrance was hidden behind a wall of winter roses. Kael pressed the silver chip into a narrow slot beneath the stone arch. Nothing happened. Then the gate opened soundlessly. We slipped inside. The gardens were too perfect. Dark hedges cut into clean shapes. White statues watched from between the trees. The rain had stopped, but water still dripped from every branch like the estate itself was quietly counting down. Kael led us along a narrow path toward the west wing. "My mother's entrance connects to the old conservatory," he whispered. "Will she help us?" I asked. His face changed. "I don't know." That answer scared me. We reached a glass door covered in vines. Kael lifted his hand toward the lock. Before he touched it, the door opened from inside. A woman stood there. Tall. Elegant. Pale. Kael's mother. She had his eyes. But hers were tired in a way his were not. Kael looked like someone still fighting the cage. She looked like someone who had memorized every bar. "Kael," she said softly. He went completely still. For one heartbeat, the dangerous alpha vanished. He looked almost young. "Mother." Her gaze moved to me. A strange sadness crossed her face. "So this is Elias Vale." I stepped back instinctively. Kael moved slightly in front of me, then stopped himself. His mother noticed. Her lips curved with something that was almost pain. "You are more like me than your father realizes." Kael's jaw tightened. "Where is Elias's mother?" "In the West Medical Room." She stepped aside. "But you have less time than you think." Milo frowned. "What does that mean?" Lady Draven looked toward the hallway behind her. "Your father invited witnesses." Kael's face darkened. "For what?" "For a claim ceremony." The words hit like ice water. My body went numb. "No," I whispered. Lady Draven looked at me gently. "He cannot complete it without your spoken consent." I almost laughed. Consent. As if powerful men did not know 1,000 ways to force one word out of someone. Kael's voice turned deadly. "Who is the alpha candidate?" His mother didn't answer fast enough. "Mother," Kael said. She looked at him. Then said, "You." Silence. My heart stopped. Kael stared at her like she had struck him. "No. Your father announced it after the broadcast. He says if you have already publicly protected Elias, then the family should use your claim before another house can challenge it." Milo whispered a curse. I stepped away from Kael. He turned instantly. "Elias." I shook my head. "It was always this, wasn't it?" "No. You protect me, they twist it into a claim. You bring me here, they make you the alpha candidate." My voice broke. "Every road leads to your name on my cage." Kael looked like he couldn't breathe. "I would never agree to it." "Would you be able to refuse if they activate the trigger?" His silence answered me. Lady Draven closed her eyes. "That is why I opened the door." We all looked at her. She reached into her sleeve and pulled out a small glass vial filled with clear liquid. "This will suppress the second trigger for 1 hour." Kael stared at it. Milo stepped forward. "Where did you get that?" "I have lived in this house for 17 years, Lady Draven said quietly. "Do you think I survived by knowing nothing?" Kael took the vial slowly. His mother's hand trembled when their fingers touched. "I failed you," she whispered. His face tightened. "Not now." "Yes, now." Her voice shook for the first time. "Because if you die tonight believing I never tried, then your father wins twice." Kael said nothing. But his hand closed around the vial. A loud chime echoed through the mansion. Lady Draven's face went pale. "The ceremony guests have arrived." My stomach dropped. She turned to me. "Your mother is 2 corridors down. 3rd door. But there will be guards." Kael swallowed the vial in one motion. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then his shoulders relaxed slightly. The gold faded from his eyes. Milo exhaled. "It worked." Kael looked at me. This time when he spoke, there was no command in his voice. "Elias. I will get you to her. After that, you choose what happens next." I wanted to believe him. I was terrified that I did. We moved fast. Lady Draven stayed behind to delay anyone who came through the conservatory. Milo hacked the internal cameras from a service panel while Kael and I ran through the West Wing. The mansion was silent except for distant voices and music. Music. As if my life were a celebration. We reached the medical room. 2 guards stood outside. Kael didn't slow. He struck the first before the man could reach his weapon. The second lunged toward me. I pressed the jammer. The silver device burned hot in my palm. The guard's scanner sparked and died. His eyes widened. I swung my bag into his face as hard as I could. He staggered. Kael finished the rest. Then he opened the door. My mother sat in a chair beside the window. Her wrists were free. But there were 2 monitors attached to her arm, and her face was far too pale. For 1 second, neither of us moved. Then she stood. Elias. I ran to her. She caught me like I was still the child in the old photograph, holding me so tightly I could barely breathe. You shouldn't have come, she whispered. I couldn't leave you. She pulled back and touched my face with shaking hands. You grew up, she said, as if that broke her heart. Behind me, Kael stood by the door, refusing to intrude. My mother saw him. Her expression changed. Fear first. Then recognition. A Draven. Kael lowered his head. I'm not here for my father. No Draven ever is, she said coldly. Until they are. I stepped between them. He helped me. My mother's eyes sharpened. Did he protect you publicly? I froze. Her face went pale. Elias, she whispered. Tell me he didn't. Kael's jaw tightened. My mother closed her eyes. Oh no. A voice came from the hallway. Touching reunion. Kael moved instantly, blocking the door. His father stood outside, dressed in black, surrounded by guards and elegantly dressed witnesses. He smiled at me, then at my mother, then at Kael. Perfect, Lord Draven said. Everyone required is finally here. Kael's voice was ice. Let them go. His father laughed softly. You still think this is negotiation? He lifted one hand. 2 guards dragged Lady Draven into the hallway. Kael went rigid. His father's smile vanished. Enough rebellion. The lights dimmed. The witnesses stepped aside, revealing the grand hall beyond. At its center stood a silver ceremonial circle. My mother grabbed my hand. Do not speak, she whispered. No matter what they threaten, do not say yes. Lord Draven heard her. His smile returned. Oh, I don't need him to say yes to me. He looked at Kael. The gold began to return to Kael's eyes. Slowly. Horribly. The vial was failing. Lord Draven lowered his voice. Claim him, son. Kael's body locked. I saw him fighting it. Every muscle trembling. Every breath shaking. He turned toward me against his will. My mother cried out. Milo appeared at the end of the hall with horror on his face. Kael took one step toward me. Then another. His eyes were fully gold now. But tears stood in them. Elias, he whispered. My heart shattered. Run. End of Part 6. Part 7. Kael told me to run. Every instinct in my body screamed to obey. His eyes were gold. His hands trembled. The command trigger had taken hold of him so violently that even the air around him felt dangerous. Behind him, Lord Draven watched with calm satisfaction, as if his own son's suffering was nothing more than a successful experiment. My mother gripped my wrist. Elias, she whispered, voice breaking. Do not let them force you. The witnesses stood around the grand hall in perfect silence. Old Alpha families. Academy board members. Doctors. Lawyers. People dressed like royalty while watching a cage being built around me. Kael took another step. His face twisted with pain. Run, he forced out again. I didn't move. Because I finally understood something. Running had kept me alive. But it had never made me free. Lord Draven's smile faded slightly when I stepped forward instead of back. Kael stopped. A sound escaped his throat, broken and furious. No. I looked directly into his golden eyes. You fought for me when your own body told you to obey. His jaw clenched. Elias, don't. So now I fight for you. Lord Draven laughed softly. How touching. I turned to him. For the first time that night, fear did not control my voice. You made one mistake. His eyes narrowed. You thought Kael protecting me meant I belonged to him. The hall went silent. I stepped into the silver ceremonial circle before anyone could stop me. My mother gasped. Kael looked horrified. Lord Draven watched carefully now. And what do you think it means? He asked. I lifted my chin. It means he made himself my witness. A murmur spread through the hall. Milo froze at the far end of the corridor. Lady Draven's eyes widened. Lord Draven's face hardened for the first time. You know nothing of old law. My mother does. I looked back at her. She was pale, shaking, terrified. But when she understood what I was asking, something fierce returned to her face. She stepped forward despite the guards. The Veil line never accepted alpha ownership, she said. Our family contracts were not claim contracts. They were witness bonds. Lord Draven's voice turned cold. That tradition died with your house. No, my mother said. You buried it because it gave Omegas the right to choose. The witnesses began whispering. Lord Draven lifted a hand. Enough. But Milo suddenly raised his tablet. Actually, he called, sounding terrified but determined. She's right. Every face turned toward him. Milo swallowed. The old Ravencrest archives still recognize Veil witness law. I found the sealed record when Lord Draven broadcast Elias's identity. He exposed the name, which reactivated its legal protections. Lord Draven's eyes flashed. You little traitor. Milo's voice shook. Probably yes. I turned back to Kael. He was still fighting the trigger, frozen at the edge of the circle, gold eyes burning. Kael, I said softly. He shook his head, breath ragged. I can't stop it. Yes, you can. No, his voice broke. Not if you come closer. I did anyway. One step. Then another. The hall held its breath. Kael's hands curled into fists at his sides. He looked like he was tearing himself apart from the inside just to stay still. I stopped in front of him. Not touching. Not trapped. Choosing. Kael Draven, I said, loud enough for every witness to hear. Do you claim ownership over me? Pain flashed across his face. The trigger pushed him forward. His father's voice cut through the hall. Say yes. Kael's body shook. His eyes burned gold. For one terrifying moment, I thought we had lost. Then Kael looked at me. Not at his father. Not at the witnesses. Me. And he said, no. The word cracked through the hall like thunder. Lord Draven's expression collapsed. Kael dropped to one knee, gasping, as if the single word had torn the trigger apart inside him. I reached for him. He flinched back. Don't, he whispered. Not yet. So I stopped. Because he had stopped for me. Milo shouted from the corridor. The claim ceremony is invalid. He refused ownership in front of witnesses. The hall erupted. Some guests stood. Others argued. The guards looked uncertain for the first time. Lord Draven's face went deadly still. You think law will save you? He asked. Lady Draven stepped forward. No, she said. Evidence will. Every screen in the grand hall turned on. Videos appeared. Medical records. Trigger authorization files. Security footage from Ravencrest. Orders signed by Lord Draven. Proof that he had used illegal conditioning on his own son, and attempted to force a claim over an unregistered Omega heir. Milo looked almost proud. I may have copied more than one archive. Lord Draven turned slowly toward him. Kael forced himself to stand. His eyes were gray again. Exhausted. Furious. Free. You're finished, Kael said. His father smiled. It was the worst smile I had ever seen. No, son. He reached into his coat. I am disappointed. Lady Draven shouted. Kael. Everything happened at once. Lord Draven pulled a small black remote from his pocket. Milo screamed. That's the manual trigger. Kael shoved me behind him. Lord Draven pressed the button. A high-pitched sound ripped through the hall. Kael collapsed. I caught him before he hit the floor. His body convulsed once, then went frighteningly still. No, I whispered. Kael? His eyes opened. Gold. But empty. Lord Draven's voice became calm again. Bring him to me. Kael's hand closed around my wrist. This time, there was no hesitation. No pain. No recognition. My heart shattered. Kael, I begged. It's me. He rose slowly, pulling me with him. The witnesses backed away in horror. My mother screamed my name. Milo ran toward the control panel, but guards grabbed him. Lord Draven walked toward us, smiling like victory had finally returned to its rightful owner. "Good," he said. "Now finish the claim." Kael turned me toward the silver circle. His grip tightened. I looked up at him, searching for any sign of the boy who had told me to stay angry, who had jumped from windows, who had fought his own bloodline for me. Nothing. Only gold. Only command. Then, just as Lord Draven reached us, Kael's fingers shifted. Not tighter. Looser. His thumb pressed something cold into my palm. The broken silver chip. His mother's private key. My breath stopped. Kael's empty golden eyes remained on my face. But one tear slipped down his cheek. And I realized the truth. He was still in there. End of Part 7. Part 8. The broken silver chip rested in my palm. Kael's fingers still held my wrist. His eyes were gold. Empty. Controlled. But the tear on his cheek told me the truth his body could not speak. He was still fighting. Somewhere beneath the command, beneath his father's cruelty, beneath years of conditioning carved into him like invisible scars, Kael Draven was still there. And he had given me a choice. Lord Draven stepped closer, his polished shoes crossing the edge of the ceremonial circle. "Enough delays," he said. "Complete it." Kael pulled me forward. The witnesses watched in horrified silence. My mother struggled against the guards holding her back. Lady Draven stood frozen near the hall entrance, her face white with fear. Milo was pinned against the wall, one guard twisting his arm behind his back, his tablet broken on the floor. Everyone was trapped. Except me. Because Kael had given me the key. I looked down at the chip. A private entrance key. A door out. But maybe not only out. I remembered the conservatory gate. The hidden circuits. Lady Draven's words. She told me if I ever found something worth saving, I should not hesitate. Kael had found something worth saving. Now it was my turn. Lord Draven's voice sharpened. "Kael." Kael's grip tightened suddenly. Pain shot through my wrist. But his thumb pressed once against my palm. Not an accident. A signal. Now. I closed my hand around the chip and twisted toward the silver circle's central pillar. At first, I didn't know what I was looking for. Then I saw it. A narrow slot hidden beneath the ceremonial seal. The same size as the chip. Of course. The Draven estate was built on control. Every room, every gate, every ritual had a private override. I slammed the chip into the slot. The silver circle flashed white. Lord Draven's eyes widened. No. The entire hall went dark. For half a second, there was only silence. Then every lock in the mansion opened at once. Doors. Gates. Restraints. Medical room panels. Guard control bands. 1,000 hidden systems released together with a violent metallic thunder. Milo hit the floor as the guard's restraint device sparked and died. My mother tore free. Lady Draven lunged toward the nearest control panel and slammed her hand against it. The screens came alive again. Not with Lord Draven's broadcast. With Milo's evidence. Every file. Every illegal order. Every trigger record. Every forced claim contract. And this time, it wasn't playing only inside the hall. It was broadcasting out. To Ravencrest Academy. To the city networks. To the legal council. To every old family watching. Lord Draven's face twisted. "You stupid boy," he hissed. I didn't know if he meant me or Kael. Maybe both. Kael's hand was still on my wrist. His eyes were still gold. But his grip weakened. I turned to him. "Kael," I said, voice shaking. "You gave me the key. You chose before he made you forget." His jaw trembled. Lord Draven lifted the black remote again. "Obey." Kael flinched. I stepped closer. Not because I had to. Because I chose to. "You are not his weapon," I said. The remote beeped. Kael's body locked. "Claim him," Lord Draven ordered. Kael's hand rose toward me. My mother screamed. But I didn't step back. I took his hand before it could reach my throat and placed it against his own chest. "Feel that?" I whispered. That's yours. Your heart. Your choice. Not his. Kael's breathing shattered. Gold flickered in his eyes. Lord Draven pressed the remote again. Kael cried out and dropped to one knee. I went down with him, refusing to let go. You told me to run, I said. I'm not running. His eyes squeezed shut. The hall shook with voices, alarms, and breaking glass, but all I could hear was him trying to breathe. Elias, he whispered. My heart stopped. His voice. Not the command. His voice. I held his hand tighter. I'm here. Kael opened his eyes. Gray fought through gold like dawn breaking through a storm. Lord Draven stared. Impossible, his face seemed to say. Kael slowly stood. This time, he did not pull me. He let go of my wrist. Then he turned to his father. The hall went silent. Lord Draven lifted the remote with a shaking hand. Kael walked toward him. One step. Then another. The remote beeped again. Kael staggered, but did not stop. You raised me to obey pain, Kael said, voice low. You forgot pain teaches endurance too. Lord Draven backed away. You are my son. Kael's smile was cold. No. I was your prisoner. He reached his father and crushed the remote in one hand. The black device broke with a sharp crack. Lord Draven stared at the pieces. Then the doors of the grand hall burst open. Legal officers entered first, followed by Ravencrest faculty and city security. Milo must have sent more than a broadcast. He had sent everything. Lord Draven straightened immediately, trying to recover the mask of power he had worn all night. This is a private family matter, he said. Lady Draven stepped forward. No, she said. It is evidence. Her voice was quiet, but it carried through the hall. I testify against Lord Adrian Draven for illegal alpha conditioning, forced claim conspiracy, unlawful detention, and abuse of family authority. The room froze. Kael looked at his mother. She looked back at him with tears in her eyes. I should have done it years ago, she whispered. Lord Draven's expression finally cracked. You will regret this. Lady Draven did not look away. I already regret everything I did not do. The officers moved in. Lord Draven tried to resist once. Kael stepped forward. That was enough. His father stopped. For the first time, the most powerful man in the room looked small. As they took him away, his eyes found mine. This is not over, Vale. Kael moved between us instantly. But I stepped beside him, not behind him. Yes, I said. It is. Lord Draven was dragged from the hall. The witnesses followed soon after, many of them refusing to meet anyone's eyes. Without power protecting them, they looked ordinary. Cowardly. Human. My mother ran to me the moment the guards released her fully. I held her so tightly my arms hurt. I'm sorry, she whispered again and again. I shook my head against her shoulder. You kept me alive. I kept you afraid. You were afraid too. She cried then. Not softly. Not beautifully. Like someone who had been holding her breath for years, and only now remembered how to breathe. Across the hall, Kael stood alone. Milo was checking his pulse and muttering medical threats at him, but Kael's eyes stayed on me. Not demanding. Not claiming. Waiting. That broke something in me. After everything, he still would not step closer unless I allowed it. I walked to him. Milo immediately pointed at both of us. No dramatic collapsing. No emotional promises until I confirm nobody is actively dying. Kael blinked. Is that a medical rule? It is now. Despite everything, I laughed. It came out shaky and small, but it was real. Kael stared at me like he had never heard anything more precious. Then his expression softened. I'm sorry, he said. For what part? All of it. I looked at him carefully. His eyes were gray again. Exhausted, bruised, honest. You scared me, I said. I know. You protected me. I tried. You also annoyed me. His mouth curved faintly. That was intentional. I almost smiled. Almost. Then I looked at the broken ceremonial circle, the shattered remote, the screens still displaying evidence, and the open doors beyond the hall. For the first time in my life, every exit was unlocked. Kael noticed where I was looking. "You can leave," he said quietly. I looked back at him. "What about you?" His expression changed, just slightly. "I'll stay. Testify. Tear apart whatever is left of his control." He glanced toward his mother. "Help her leave too." "And Ravencrest?" "Will answer for what it allowed." My chest tightened. He was not asking me to stay. That mattered more than any promise. My mother came to my side and touched my shoulder. "We can go anywhere," she said. "No more hiding under names that are not ours. Elias Vale. Not fake anymore. Mine." I took a breath. Then another. Freedom did not feel like I imagined. It was not light. It was terrifying. Wide open. Unwritten. I turned to Kael. "I'm leaving tonight," I said. His face remained calm, but something in his eyes dimmed. He nodded. "Good." I stepped closer. "But not forever." His breath caught. I held out the broken silver chip. "You gave me a way out," I said. "When I come back, it will be because I choose to." Kael looked at the chip, then at me. Slowly, he took it. His fingers brushed mine. This time, neither of us flinched. Milo groaned loudly. "Fine. Emotional promises approved. But keep it short." Kael ignored him. "I'll wait," he said. I shook my head. "Don't wait. Heal." That hit him harder. His throat moved. Then he nodded. Outside, dawn began to touch the windows of the Draven estate. Soft gray light spilled across the ruined hall, turning the silver circle pale and powerless. My mother took my hand. Together, we walked toward the open doors. At the threshold, I looked back once. Kael stood in the center of the wreckage of his family's legacy, bruised but unbroken. Not my owner. Not my savior. Something harder to name. Something I wanted to find again when both of us were free enough to choose it honestly. He lifted 2 fingers in a small goodbye. I smiled. Then I stepped into the morning. For the first time, no one stopped me. End of Part 8. And that was the end of Elias and Kael's story, at least for now. Elias finally walked away from the cage that had followed him his entire life, and Kael finally broke the chains his own family placed around him. Their bond was never forced, never owned, and never controlled. It was something far stronger, a choice. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Tell me, do you think Elias should return to Kael one day, or should Kael be the one to find him when they are both truly free? Your comments help me know which stories you want next, and your support means everything. Thank you so much for watching until the end. See you in the next BL story.